Hello, it's your boy, Lupine Fiasco, back again with medium level FaB play through Talishar.net. Today we'll be playing another Levia game. This is happening since the release of Dusk till Dawn, which means Levia is a real hero now. You see that she is on the Claw's high roll plan, using Husk. Fleshbag is the most interesting thing that has happened to Brute, in my opinion, at least as far as this matchup is concerned. Because now we have actual decisions to make in how we sequence our turns. With us winning the die roll, we get to put Levia on the play. They roll Scab Skin and get a 1, which means that their turn ends. So, Warmonger's Diplomacy is a real card in this matchup because of Blood Rush Bellow. And that's really the only real card in this matchup. I have seen blue Convulsions from the Bellows of Hell as just a blue 3-block that can close out games, but I'm not concerned about that now. Here we will be using Diplomacy for pitch. Starting with Brand, we then go Kadachi, pick up Phoenix Flame, attack for 2. We have the option then, assuming it gets blocked by Scab Skin or a card from hand, or even Fleshbag, we have the option to Renegade Salt the Wound. Tagging with Ronan first does make sense, because we get a card from hand. Here, we are just going to pick up and attack with our Phoenix Flame, arsenaling our Salt the Wound. A fine turn. We get 2 cards from our Levia, we put them to potentially 36, and we get an arsenal. Scab Skins for 2, opponent rolling low, which is great news for us. They send Slitherpede and then undo. Decide to take it back. Nope, that was the right call. So Slitherpede for 6 is not something that we're going to block. Them getting it into their graveyard is good news for them. In the event that they can Scab Skin, Slaughter Beast, attack with the Slitherpede, great card. Here we are just looking at how to sequence to best maximize our chance at getting Mask Momentum. This hand will absolutely put 6 links on the chain. We just need to figure out how to make those links worth the most. Starting with Rise from the Ashes, this hand is looking like it is going to be how would I sequence this? Doing this now, we have a few options. We could pitch Brand for Kadachi, double strike for 4, followed up by Rising for 3, double strike for 2, Phoenix for 1. Really front load the chance to draw a card. We could Kadachi Rising for 6. That's a clean block by Husk, so I don't like that plan as much. We could Rise, double strike for 4, Brand for 3, Resentment for 3, which would take cards from hand. The opponent would not be able to easily block with armor. There are really a lot of different options. If I was making this call now, knowing that I don't need the Brand to pick up Phoenix Flame, or Brand to trigger Shuko, Double Strike will be doing that. I believe the line that I like here is Double Strike for 4, Brand for 3, Resentment for 3, taking cards from our Levia's hand, followed by Double Strike for 1, Phoenix Flame for 1, Salt for whatever's left. That would be a total of 4, 7, 10, 11, 12, probably 16 damage, something like that, maybe 18 depending on how much our Levia took and how high I can count. But there are so many lines here that there really isn't a way to go wrong. Brand is worth 2 either way. I can also be looking at Kodachi double strike for 4. I do think that that is better than rising for 6. We never want to give our opponent full husk value if we can avoid it. We want husk to be overblocking. Here, opponent blocks with a flesh bag, denying us the opportunity to trigger mask, or, well, we still have the opportunity to trigger mask, but because we have a Phoenix Flame coming back to us at the end of the turn, it would be wasted. So as it is, this turn is just autopilot at this point. We put all of our cards on the table. We do get our Shuko trigger, which is nice. We will salt for 5, which probably does get the husk. Husk is overblocking, which makes us feel good. It also takes husk off the table on turn 2. Opponent does choose to take the damage, which is fine. 5 is about where our individual cards' damage tops out. Oh, do they? Do they give us the husk? They don't. So we get our Phoenix Flame back. We arsenal the Phoenix Flame. We draw up to 5. This hand is looking pretty spicy. Pitch, Salt, Mounting Anger, Phoenix Flame, Mounting Anger, Lava Burst. We see that Levia does pitch the first Reckless Swing. Always good to keep an eye on how many Reckless Swings your brute opponent has either pitched or played, so that you know at what life total you have to stay above. So here, if we are playing absolutely super safe, we need to stay above 4. Blocking with our Furnace early just to get the block value in case Levia did decide to scab skins in this turn. We would want Furnace available again for a different chain. Brute doesn't do on hits. Sometimes they play CNC, but a lot of times they don't. So we don't need to preserve our Furnace for on hits. Here, Levia does roll the scab skins, resets the chain. We don't necessarily need to block with this Furnace, but we like having it available as a block. Claws for 3, no natural, or no go again. Okay, that's fine. It is unlikely that the Levia would really need the 3 action points to do a big turn, but they're using them. Mark of the Beast to turn off non-existent blood debt is fine. No on hit. We'll go to 18. And still sending 4-1-4-6. We only have 4 links on this chain, so it's pretty unlikely, and the opponent still has Husk, so it's pretty unlikely that we're going to trigger Mask. The sequencing doesn't necessarily matter. This Mounting Anger can only banish Lava Burst. The first Mounting Anger, we could in theory play Phoenix Flame #1, the Phoenix Flame first, so that Mounting Anger could banish Lava Burst, but we're potentially giving up 1 point of value for 2 as opposed to a guaranteed 1. It isn't worth it. So here we're just opening with Mounting Anger. We'll banish our Lava Burst, which is great. So attack with Phoenix Flame for 1. The reason this is great is that Phoenix Flame is the first half of Shuko. Lava Burst is now benefited by Shuko and Mounting Anger, which means that even Husk does not full block the damage, and we get our Mask Momentum trigger. So there's actually great sequencing by me because I'm an incredible player. This works out very well. See how our opponent sets to block this. They could give us Husk and a card from hand. which they do. That is excellent. And draw up. So I remember playing this game the first time. This is an interesting... So, Dredge Schemer for 6, no floating resources, no cards in hand or arsenal. This is just them turning off Blood Debt, which is fine. For this hand of cards, we would be looking at pitching Soulweed Strike, Kodachi for 1, Kodachi for 1, Rabble for 4. Opponent has no armor available for blocks. So they would need a Reckless Swing or 2 cards to block to not trigger Mask of Momentum. And I remember why this was an interesting lesson for me to learn with New Levia and the fact that Blasphemous exists. Wait for opponent to decide that they do not want to roll Scab Skins with their remaining action point. But as you'll see, Kodachi, Rabble for 4 will get blocked. So our opponent goes to 20. We then have Enlightened Strike and Rising Resentment in hand. Opponent has 5 Blood Debt. So if we do literal nothing, Kodachi for pitch Rising, Kodachi for 1, Arsenal Enlightened Strike, Levia cannot go consumed. If we E-Strike for Kodachi, Rab for 4, E-Strike for 7, that would put our opponent to 13 life, and they would not be able to go consumed because they cannot satisfy the condition of Blood Debt taking them to 13. What I will choose to do is the absolute worst decision, which is E-Strike for 5, draw a card. This puts our Levia to 15 and leaves them with 2 cards in hand, which gives them the potential to do way more damage than I want them to do. It could be a 2-card 6, it could be a 2-card 8, it could be roll Scabskins, get a 4, Claw for 3, Claw for 3. The important thing with Levia, now that Consumed is an option, is consider how much life you will leave them with. And with them needing to stay above 13 to go consumed, how do they need to play around your attack? Which is to say, we put our Levia to 20, we E-Strike for 7, Levia can't no-block that because she loses the opportunity to consume, so she has to put 1 card in front of it. With 1 card in hand, yeah, she goes consumed. What? I don't agree with this decision at all. E-Strike for 5, draw a card. Here we are going to snap. Put Levia to 15 with Diplomacy. Put Levia to 15 with Diplomacy. Right, I remember. This was my opponent wanting to block. Forgetting that Mask of Momentum exists. Anyway, that turn looked so weird to me. Like, wow, this went way better than I thought it did. I still don't agree with this decision. This is me not trusting my Ravenous Ravels to do what they're going to do. But we end up in the same position, which is, Levia's at 20. We have the opportunity to deal 7 to them. We will choose not to, which puts them to 15, which is the worst thing we can do, because our opponent is not concerned with turning off Blood Debt. They want to just hit us with cards. They'll take their 2 life and go consumed. We want them to make the decision, are you losing consumed to keep this incredible 2-card hand, or are you going to block with 1 card, still go consumed, but that really limits the crackback potential. With a 1-card hand, she could Arsenal, she could attack with Claw, and that's kind of it. But with 2 cards, that's a potential 9 damage turn. And we are not at a life total where we can take 9 damage. We also draw Diplomacy, which is not exactly what we want to see here. Roll the Scab Skin, get 2 action points. We see 6 plus 3. This is a 9 damage turn. It could have been if we had attacked for 7 and our opponent wanted to go Consumed. They'd block the Slitherpede, go to 16, attack with 1 claw, and then pass, and we save 6 points of life. So Levia does go Consumed. We have a very weird hand. We choose to block with Shuko in order to stay above 4 to avoid the very unlikely potential of getting double Reckless swinged. Here we are banishing the Snatch. Again, weird hand. Here I am inclined to play another Art of War and banish the Lava Burst just to try to do something with a 1-cost card in our graveyard. We cannot send a Kodachi to go again. So we luck out. We draw cards that do things. So we will send Ravenous Rabble to turn on Flamecall Awakening. We can... what am I saying? Kodachi, Ravenous Rabble, potentially gets blocked. We can then send Flamecall Awakening. What am I talking about? Let's watch the game. Sending the Ravenous Rabble here so that our opponent doesn't have an easy block on Link 2 is fine. This Flamecall is going to come in for 5, which gets 2 cards from Levia. It gets us our Phoenix Flame, and it gives us another opportunity to trigger Mask Momentum. In hindsight, it isn't what I would do here. I would have sent 1/1/6, get 2 cards from Levia, 5/3/3, which gets another card from Levia. They don't die to Blood Debt anymore, but they do die to being dealt damage. Here we get 2 cards from Levia. If they don't want us to draw, they are going to give us at least 1 more. It gives them the opportunity to play a 1-card 8. I think they have Endless Maw in there. 1-card 9. But even so, we're pushing damage. We will have the resources available to block. And we're just pushing damage. So we'll push 5 here, take our Levia to 1. Excuse me, take our Levia to 2. We draw some 3 blocks, which is cool. So yeah, unfortunately for them, only a yellow in hand. So they have a 1-card 6. They're low enough. We're blocking with Momentum. We're blocking with Furnace. That takes us to 2, which is way too low. But based on having a Brain of Cinderclaw and blue in hand, we can block with Lava Vein Loyalty. Stay at 5, block, block, block. Our attack will be 1, 1, 1, 1, 5, and that wins us the game. So all in all, this game was a bit harder. Levia is a good hero now. We are still just no blocking it until we need to not be dead. But they have so much armor that it is a significantly harder matchup. Flesh Bag is a great piece of equipment. Scab Skin still blocks 3. Carrion Husk still blocks 6, and with Blasphemous as an out, Levia doesn't have to worry as much about accruing too much blood debt early. It is not necessarily our win con that we can just run them out of cards and let them die to themselves. But the real now key in this matchup is playing around that 13 life point value. Deciding how we want to take advantage of them needing to stay above 13 in order to go Blasphemous. Keeping in mind that we took 9 damage at one point, or were threatened with 9 damage. If we had only been threatened with 3, we're at 11 right now, and this game was so incredibly easy. But because we did not properly threaten lethal, taking them to 13, we find ourselves at 5 with no equipment. And if this turn cycle wasn't going to win us the game, we would potentially be dead to another 1 card 6, 1 card 8. Something where they're utilizing their banish zone in a way that we just can't keep up with. But as it is, this is mid-level FaB play. I am mid-level FaB casting. The deck really carries these games, and I'm just trying to keep up with the sequencing because aggro is hard. Aggro is deceptively difficult, but also very, very strong.